Hey all, Forge here. Welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to start a series of sorts talking about a hobby that I've been captivated by for nigh on 15 years, and that's Magic the Gathering. Specifically, the Pioneer format. These days, Pioneer is by far my favorite way to play Magic. I'm lucky enough that my local game store has a Tuesday Pioneer night that fires every week, although we are down to about 6 people on average now that there's no competitive events. Unfortunately, it's a format that doesn't see a whole lot of love from Wizards of the Coast, and in a lot of ways, the community itself. So, I wanted to talk about why I enjoy Pioneer, and why I think you might enjoy Pioneer, in spite of its flaws. So let's dig in. What exactly is Pioneer? Well, it's a non-rotating format dating back to Return to Ravnica, that includes only cards that were printed in standard legal sets. That means nothing from Commander products, direct-to-modern sets, even like the fetch lands that were printed in Khans of Tarkir were banned straight out of the gate, as that was Wizards wanted to create a format without that sort of like shuffle gameplay in it from the start. So that creates kind of like a unique aspect where it's the only non-rotating format currently in Magic the Gathering that is largely supported by Wizards, which sees new cards come in only through the standard pipeline. So, why should you consider playing Pioneer? Well, first up, like I just said, it's an eternal format that does not rotate. I don't know about you, but I'm not exactly made of money, and I like knowing that if I invest into a deck, or even just cards I like, that there's no hard expiration date on when I'm going to be able to play it. Sure, bans happen, but that's like, you can't really do too much about that, but I just don't like knowing that, hey, I bought this card, and in 3 years it rotates out of standard, and I can't ever look at it again if I want to keep playing standard. Next, compared to other non-rotating formats, Pioneer is significantly cheaper than Modern or Legacy. You can build some really, really fun and effective decks for less than $250, and a lot of that cost is in the mana base, due to like shocklands and the like. But you can often find reasonable alternatives to the shocklands that, while you are sacrificing some consistency, you're talking like $12 for a shockland or 25 cents for this, Shine Shadow Snarl or whatever it is. The other big thing that I really enjoy is that Pioneer is largely available for play on Magic Arena, which means you can sort of play it for free if you operate and play a lot of Arena to get wild cards and the like. And that allows you to play online at any time without having to invest into the 2002 classic Magic the Gathering Online. Now that comes with the caveat. I say largely available because Arena does not support every single card that is legal in Pioneer. It is in fact missing a significant portion of the pre-Kaladesh card pool, but Wizards has done their best to include all of like the tournament staples. So if you primarily are the type of player who plays meta decks, you're unlikely to run into issues. And speaking for me as a brewer who tends to play off meta decks, oftentimes not having a card that I know about in paper leads me to experiment more, that oftentimes results in a better deck overall, even though I'm missing maybe the first card that I thought of. Finally, and this I think is the biggest selling point of the format, is that it's incredibly diverse, featuring strong decks across a number of archetypes. I mean, we've got the usual sort of triangle of Magic, which is aggro, mid-range, control. But we're also sporting multiple graveyard strategies, strong tempo decks. We've even got really good 5-color value piles, toolbox strategies, and even 2 different variations of what boils down to Storm without Storm. Granted, that last one may not be a selling point for many of you, but still, it showcases that Pioneer is very diverse. And with 13 years of cards in the pool, there is tons of room for brewing, even if you may not, take that deck to the Pro Tour. Now, all of these reasons are why I love the format so much. But, and it's a big but, Pioneer does have more than its fair share of issues, and that I think has definitely contributed to the sort of lackluster reputation it has, both with Wizards and with the community. I'll start here with color balance. Pioneer is fundamentally defined by the power of black and red. Black has access to, hands down, the best removal in the format, while recent years have seen a number of powerful and resilient threats printed into red. The consistent power of these two colors over the last several years have led to many players becoming sort of disillusioned with the format, often citing that the gameplay patterns feel stale. And that largely comes down to, oh no, I'm playing Pioneer, well, I better get ready for a turn 1 Thoughtseize and be backed up by a Fatal Push and a turn 3 Fable of the Mirror Breaker. That's just how it's been for a while. The next issue I'd like to highlight is the discrepancy in power between threats and removal. With the shifts in design philosophy over the last decade, we've seen Wizards move towards printing more and more powerful cards that provide immediate and ongoing value to the player who casts them. Unfortunately, we have not seen this same trend when it comes to removal. This has resulted in a format where it is almost impossible to fairly trade resources with your opponent. And when I say fairly, I mean like in a one-for-one aspect, right? It's not like my opponent plays Tarmogoyf, and if I kill that Tarmogoyf, the threat is gone. Nowadays, your opponent plays a Fable of the Mirror Breaker. If you disenchant that Fable of the Mirror Breaker, there's still a Goblin Shaman token that is attacking and creating treasure tokens. You hit the Goblin Shaman token, while your opponent's still going to discard up to 2 cards next turn, draw some more cards, potentially refuel on gas after clearing some lands out of their hands, and if you still don't deal with it the following turn after, it flips into, Baby Kiki Jiki, which can really take over the game. Now, I don't think that this is an issue that is exclusive to Pioneer, and I'm kind of backed up by that because in the recent announcement for the banning of 7 cards in Standard, Wizards sort of talked about how it can be frustrating to play against cards that you can't cleanly answer. They reference Up the Beanstalk and stuff like that. But I would argue that Pioneer is the format where this problem is the most obvious. The final issue I'll speak on is one of the reasons why I'm making this video, and that's Wizards' stance on the format. A fundamental problem with Eternal formats is that the large card pool often leads to unintended and extremely strong interactions between cards that were printed sometimes decades apart. In my opinion, as someone who's been playing for a long time, played through like the heyday of old Modern, where Jund was king, and so on and so forth, in my opinion, the key to a healthy and fun format is identifying and addressing these interactions in a timely manner. Sometimes they're positive, and you get cool new combo decks or value interactions that create interesting and fun gameplay. Other times you get, I play this card on turn 3, do you have an answer this turn? If yes, okay, the game continues. If no, I win. It's part of the reason why Splinter Twin was banned in Modern. Now, the problem here with Pioneer is that we have seen a pattern of Wizards failing to take timely action against these sort of outlying interactions on multiple occasions, oftentimes in periods where lots of eyes are on Pioneer. This has resulted in the perception that Pioneer is a very stale format, and has resulted in a lot of players who didn't play the format just seeing these like turn 3 I win, you lose, nothing you can really do about it gameplay interactions and becoming disinterested in getting involved in the format. All that aside, in spite of the flaws, Pioneer is still by far my favorite format. And I stand by the fact that there's plenty of fun to be had here, especially if you're, as I call it, a millennial mage like me, who's kind of used to this older style of Eternal format where there are no Modern Horizons sets coming in and upsetting the balance. There are no free spells, which this is like a personal pet peeve. I know a lot of people don't agree with me on this, but, you know, I like looking across the table, seeing my opponent is tapped out and going, okay, shields are down. I do not like having to remember that, oh no, my opponent can just exile, you know, a card from their hand and counterspell my stuff. Force of Will is a defining aspect of Legacy, and a lot of people love Legacy. That gameplay is not for me, and that's why I enjoy Pioneer so much, because I know that those sorts of interactions are not there. So anyways, it's my hope that this video encourages you, if you don't already play Pioneer, to try it out yourself, either on MTG Arena, at your own kitchen table with your friends just like proxying some stuff up, or even on programs like Cockatrice. That being said, I am way too much of a glass half empty sort of person to believe that one video from a nobody on YouTube is going to make any difference when it comes to player rates, wizards caring about the format, so on and so forth. So what I'm hoping to do and planning on is making regular Pioneer content going forward. Mostly opinion pieces like this, but I also want to evaluate new set spoilers with like a specific lens for Pioneer. Maybe if I come up with like some cool brews, like a deck tech or something, highlight new and interesting innovations in the format, which, granted, when no one is playing it, there's not a whole lot of innovation, but I'll do my best. And, maybe throw in some gameplay videos here and there. The next video will definitely be a discussion on the Edge of Eternity spoilers that have come out so far. There's some really cool stuff in there that I think is going to have some huge potential to make a splash in Pioneer, and I really would like to go over that and sort of give my thoughts. So, if you've enjoyed my ramblings, make sure to like and subscribe for more. And make sure to leave a comment with your thoughts if you agree or disagree with the points that I made here. I'm happy to duke it out in the comments if you'd like. Now, that's all for me. I've been Forge, and I'll see you in the next one.